Do you mind telling us, you don't have to if you don't want to, your age?
I'm 62.
He's 63 in 6 months.
Wow. I'll be 63 in 6 months.
Healthy Mommy, does the menopause belly really shrink? This is a woman who has been super successful with getting the menopause weight off and lowering her cholesterol. So I just want to show you how much knowledge about nutrition and protein you have to have in order to be successful. So it was actually 2 years ago that I sat here and you sat there and we talked a little bit about your journey. We had you go on the SOS program. So you've maintained this weight loss for 2 years.
Wow.
And I know you don't weigh yourself. Is that correct?
I mean, I do. And Em gets mad at me as if I'm just randomly weighing
This
myself.
is like my clients now.
Yeah.
You do not do this.
Right.
You do. She works at the hospital.
Just hop on the scale.
Just hops on the scale, all of her clothes on, eating all day.
Clogs.
3 o'clock at the clogs, holding a newborn baby.
I mean, I know how much that one weighs, so I subtract it.
So track that. Hello, my honeys. Welcome. It is me, Healthy Emmie, and
Healthy Mommy.
And we are here on our annual vacation at the beach. I've been doing all the cooking here this week, so we've been fully SOS this week.
Yeah.
How have you been feeling?
Great. I've forgotten really till you mentioned that how much fried seafood we used to eat when we came down here. And I was on a walk the other morning, and as you all know, my midsection is my barometer. And I thought, oh, I feel really, after having eaten strictly SOS for a few days, I just feel so much lighter and freer. And it was a real good reminder for me, the benefits of the program.
This vacation used to look really different for us. Fried food, onion rings, French fries, desserts, and I would not go back to the way that we used to do it.
Agreed.
I just feel so good eating this way. I want to feel light and I want to feel energetic. And when we're out in our bathing suits and laying in the sun, I don't want to feel run down. So what has home food been looking like? Have you had some more weight maintenance foods at home?
If I had to pick one off the top of my head, I would probably say breads. And it's interesting, now that I haven't had them for a few days, how when you reintroduce something and then you start to have it sort of more and more and more, and a piece of bread becomes a piece of bread with jelly, and then it becomes a piece of bread with vegan butter, and then it becomes a couple of pieces of bread with butter, and before you know it, you're having toast with butter 3 times a day.
Yeah.
It's just weird how it creeps back in.
Well, the thing with toast with vegan butter is that when you have one slice,
You're
you
just
know
dying for
what
the
that
next.
tastes like.
Yeah.
Another one.
Yes.
So that's what happens there. But also, the brain is meant to have ideas, not keep ideas. So sometimes I'll remind you of the things that you used to do, like your potato poppers that you have in your ebook.
Yeah.
What happened
to those? Yeah.
You just forget.
You do.
Yeah. So it might even be you going back into your own ebook and saying, oh yeah, the potato poppers.
Right.
Or the mush oatmeal, just a replacement to get back in there. Because habit is everything. And once you start to reintroduce that and it starts to sneak back in, now it's the habit that at 10 a.m. I go and I get a piece of toast. I make a piece of toast.
Right. So I'm really grateful for this break because it's sort of reset me.
Yeah, because you were saying you felt your routine with food was getting a little bit mundane.
Right. And then we've been making a lot of SOS bowls, kiss bowls, and I'm thinking, why have I not been doing this?
Yeah, so what I did before we came here is I said, Healthy Mommy, you are on grain duty.
Right.
You are the grain woman this week. So her job before we left, tell us what you did.
I went to the grocery store and I bought all different kinds of grains that I thought would be great with some bowls.
Yeah, because I said we're going to do kiss meals all week. And for those of you that don't know, kiss meals are keep it simple, sweetie meals. Just a simple combination of starches, vegetables, legumes, and then a sauce. And we've just brought oil-free hummus and we've been using that. Yeah. And then every day I say, the world is your oyster. You can choose any grain that you would like to cook today. She cooks the greens. And then I cook the veggies and assemble everything. And that's how we've been doing it. By the way, if you've been wondering specifically what we've been having, I've been filming everything. So I'm going to do a video that goes over all the kiss meals that we've been having.
Yep. So easy and inexpensive.
We have, I mean,
so inexpensive.
We can afford another week here. The way that we've been eating like
groceries.
peasants. But you brought some grains that even I have never had before.
Yeah.
And it's a reminder that if you're ever feeling like your routine with food and SOS and eating this way is like, oh my gosh, I'm eating the same things over and over. Have you walked down the grain aisle and really looked at all the different kinds that are there?
So many options.
I mean, you brought like 6 different bags.
Right.
And we're trying a new one every day. And it's so fun to test out the ones we like, the ones we don't like.
Right.
We learned what we don't really like that much. Farro is like the new obsession.
Yeah.
There's an umpteen amount of permutations that you can do with all the different grains. And then we've been doing different vegetables every day.
And also with the vegetables, I said to Emmie, did you season these with anything? And she goes,
usually I steam everything, but since we've been here, we've just been putting everything into the oven.
Yeah. I'm like, why are they so delicious?
Yeah.
Just the freshness of it.
It's different too.
Yeah.
And when you eat the same thing every day, you actually, I call it groundhog eating. Sometimes I'll see my clients do groundhog eating. You get totally out of tune with your hunger fullness cues because you just make the same amount every day.
True.
And when you eat something new, you're a lot more in the experience. You're a lot more mindful. Wow, this tastes different, this texture, and you're in the experience and you're like, I don't think I need any more of that.
Right.
There's this really interesting study where they followed people, the pathways that people take every day from the moment they wake up to the moment they get home and go to bed. And you get up, you walk to the bathroom, you walk downstairs, you go to your garage, you get in the car, you go to work. And if you were to trace the pathways that people take all day, people take the same exact to the inch, to the centimeter, you take the same pathway every day.
Wow.
This is how habitual we are. So we don't recognize when we're eating the same thing every day. When you go to the grocery store, you park in the same area of the parking lot. You always go to the same section of the registers. You go to self-checkout. When you walk in the grocery store, you walk a certain way. And to kind of shake yourself up and say, wait a minute, I can't see the forest through the trees. There's a whole grain aisle here. Look at all these different vegetables and all these different beans.
That's so fascinating. That's fascinating to me. Yeah, and this program that you think you've gotten to a level where you've got it, you understand it, you're good. And then you continue to walk along, it's a broader journey.
Yeah. Just because, when we were filming, you adjusted your skirt before you sat down and you're like, this skirt used to be so tight on me. Now it's loose and you're pulling it up.
Right.
But just because your weight is in check and your health is in check, it doesn't mean that you can't continue to grow and be excited about this.
Yeah, exactly.
Because when you first start and you're losing weight, you're like, this rocks. This is awesome.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps you motivated. Motivation always dries up.
Right.
So we have to have something to keep it fresh and keep it spicy here.
Yeah. It's great because you don't have to, you can still stay on the same path. And you don't have to give up and veer off. It's great.
Well, I noticed when I asked for questions for today for people to ask you, they keep asking about your updated exercise routine. And with you and the way that it is with all successful people is consistency is the name of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, you give the same answer every single time we ask.
Yeah, it hasn't changed. And this morning, when I woke up, I used to say I wake up at like 5:30 and I'm on vacation. And it was a little drizzly this morning and I could have I did contemplate going back to sleep, but I know that I'm already awake. If I just get up and do my daily routine, which takes an hour or two, then I'm great. It just sets my day off on a better tone. So I just stick with it.
And you were doing your yoga in your pajamas.
I was. I'm like, what the heck,
Yeah, people, if you do your workout in your pajamas versus if you do your workout in an activewear set, spoiler alert, your body doesn't know the difference.
Right.
You just got to get out and do it, and it doesn't have to be glamorous. So we're not measuring your heart rate or getting a certain amount of reps in. You go for your leisurely walk.
Right.
And we've been going on so many lovely walks while we're here as well.
Yeah.
How's your digestion been when you're here?
Great. As long as I, as long as I stick with the core principles, it's great.
How have you been feeling at home with all the bread?
I can tell the difference. I'm beginning to think that even though it's a really good bread, bread is like akin to dairy. It's not a friend of mine on an everyday, multiple times a day basis. It's just, I don't think it's gonna work.
How is it making you feel specifically? Is it in your head? Is it in your stomach? Lightheaded, heavy?
More like craving. I start to crave it. And really the 2 pieces of toast turns into 4 pieces of toast. Then I can't wait to get home and have some toast with butter. Not that that's a bad thing, but I know that I don't think about that with any other type of food.
Got it. So what I'm hearing is that it's not the bottom line health-wise, it's not going to affect your weight. It's not going to affect your cholesterol, but it sounds like it's buzzing around in your brain and you appreciate, am I reading this correctly, having a calm, stable brain that's not thinking about when's my next piece of bread coming?
Right. Yeah, I recognize it.
Got it.
Yeah.
So,
I think,
yeah. So what do you want to do here? Do you want to keep having the bread? Do you want to make changes?
I think I'm going to make changes again. Reset.
We could have you go through the master's program module on this again, honestly, where in the master's program, the clients run a 1-month experiment. First, you got to go back to SOS basics.
Yep.
And then they run a 1-month experiment where they choose some foods that they want to reincorporate. But it's done in a very systematic, formulaic way to learn what your threshold is.
Okay. If I let myself do the same thing with coffee, I'd be right back into the lattes. No questions asked.
When it comes to coffee, the first sip is the only sip that you have control over.
Yeah.
Because once you get that taste of it, then you want it all the time.
Right.
I think for you, coffee has to be a non-negotiable because of your cholesterol.
Yeah.
Bread's not going to affect your cholesterol.
Right.
But I can understand the annoyance of, oh my gosh, I finish a piece of bread and I just want another piece of bread.
Right.
Versus when we finish our KISS meals for lunch or dinner or whatever, we're like, we're good.
We're good.
We feel good.
Right. Yeah, I'm happy for the reset. I'm not beating myself up over it or feel like I failed, or I think it just helps you stay fresh.
Your failure is something you are very far from. If we were to give you a report card, the end, the ends justify the means. If we look at where your health is right now, your weight's fantastic.
Right.
Everything on paper looks great. You're procrastinating, which is seeing a problem before it actually happens, which is, my brain's starting to just think about bread a little bit more than I would like it to.
Yeah.
And also I think that, because you said to me when we were sitting on the beach, you were saying, I've been feeling so great just eating totally SOS this week. I've been feeling so light. And I think you don't recognize what you were feeling like before.
No, you don't.
Until you start feeling so great.
Agreed. Yeah, it's been a real eye-opener in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have some questions.
Okay.
How's your weight? Maintained?
Yes.
Gain, loss?
Yeah, it has maintained. But then I don't know what you consider, and I don't want to get into numbers, but it's stable.
We say normal weight fluctuations are a 3 to 5 pound range.
Okay, then it's fine.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. You can answer this honestly. Not that you're not answering any of these honestly. When you go to a restaurant, what do you do now?
I have yet to go to a restaurant, and I've been to restaurants where really there's just meat, chicken, and fish, and I can still figure something out. It's usually a salad or a pasta.
Yeah, and I'll say this, because, the more you know, the less you know, because Healthy Mommy does not have so much info about nutrition in these scenarios, it really works to your advantage. Because let's say, so she'll go to a restaurant, correct me if I'm wrong. Let's say you're going out with your girlfriends, which you don't do very often.
Not that often.
Twice a month.
Right.
I would say
Right.
you go out to a restaurant and you just get whatever you can get as a vegan,
Right.
which is usually a salad or a pasta, right? Well, it's going to have oil in it. But because it doesn't freak you out. You don't say, oh my goodness, there's oil in here, and you get all stressed about it. You just have your salad, you move on, you have your oatmeal the next morning. You don't stress out about it. Stress is the most unhealthy thing that you can put on your plate.
Right.
And I think that's why you're successful.
Yeah.
Because you're not so fixated on the fact that the restaurant meal is going to have some oil in it.
This isn't a test. It's not a reflection of your character. It's like having, one slice of something. It's okay. It's when you continue to buy Doritos and bring them in the house all the time. That's the different,
And I will say this, if her cholesterol was high or if she wasn't losing weight and she was still doing that, then I would say that needs to change the restaurant.
Right.
So if you are not successful and you are still doing that, then you got to be fully SOS.
Yeah.
But if you are in weight maintenance, or if your goal is just to be healthy, then the goal here is to just win the election, not to unanimously 100% adhere to this cult, this religion. It's not that.
I'm sure for a lot of people, they agonize and they're anxious when they go out with people who are not plant-based eaters. What am I going to order? What are they going to think? What if they don't have it? Just let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Just order what's on the menu. Don't fret over it, and certainly don't let it ruin your time out with your friends.
Because that's what's you're meant to be there
Right.
for, to spend time with them.
Right.
The purpose of this lifestyle is to add to your life, to bring more health and more whole foods in, as opposed to isolate the 2 times per month you go out, which
Right.
accounts for 1% of your diet,
Right.
and make that a marker of your failure
Right.
on this
Because
lifestyle.
people always say, they say it to me all the time, I'm sure, Lisa, is there anything, are you sure there's something on the menu for you? It's funny how people are just, and I'm like, yeah, I'm good. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Healthy Mommy, do you make sure to get in more protein after menopause? All I hear is that we need protein, protein, protein. So before you answer this, this is a woman who has been super successful with getting the menopause weight off and lowering her cholesterol. So I just want to show you how much knowledge about nutrition and protein you have to have in order to be successful.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I don't know what protein sources are. I mean that. I don't. I just eat what's part of this whole world of legumes, grains, veggies.
You just follow my advice.
Yeah, right. I just don't. I've never thought that way. I'm not criticizing the question or I just don't think that way. I mean, I may think I'm not going to eat that packaged devil dog, obviously, but I don't look at these categories, that foods that we eat now, and label them as
the macronutrients.
Protein. I just don't.
Yes, you approach the food as whole food, and you follow the plate builder from SOS when you make your kiss meals.
Right.
You have your starch, you have your vegetable, you have your legume.
Yeah.
That covers all the bases. As Dr. Neil Barnard says, PCRM, the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, says, so long as you are eating a varied whole food plant-based diet of adequate calories, all of your protein needs are going to be met.
Yeah.
I will say the one thing that I added into Healthy Mummy's diet very intentionally, which she might not even realize, she just knows, oh, I'm supposed to have this because Emmie told me to have this, is we made sure that she had protein because of the added calcium that was in there to prevent osteoporosis. And also the soy does have benefits for women around menopause age. But other than that, you don't even realize it, but I see what you eat, and you always have a protein source in there. Okay. You have your legumes, or you have your tofu, or you have your chickpea hummus.
Right. And they really just are the foundational foods that are always around, that I always have.
Yeah. You guys never have a meal without legumes.
No, probably not.
I mean, you always have your beans. I can think about the meals that you have now. And even when it's pizza night, you have your hummus on there, which is the protein source.
Right.
But not degrading food. I think it's kind of insulting to whole foods to degrade them to carb, protein, fat, when they offer so much more than that. But don't worry about getting enough protein.
I get it.
Healthy Mommy, does the menopause belly really shrink? Mine feels so bloated after switching to SOS.
The first thing that pops into my mind is if you're new to it, then your digestion is going to take a little while to settle down, and then it really does, and you'll be very surprised, pleasantly surprised. And yeah, it does.
So the reason why when you first come over to SOS, you experience bloating, I have an entire document that I give to my clients that goes over why it happens and how to alleviate it. But the first and foremost, is if you're coming from a diet where the food that you eat is so calorically dense, you eat smaller portions. You know, a cookie can be this big, but the cookie can be 400 calories versus 400 calories of lettuce is going to be like 8 bowls of lettuce. So when you come over to this lifestyle and we eat large quantities of food, you're eating just larger volumes, which means larger volumes in your stomach. Your stomach just has more food in it for you to get used to. But because the food is lower in calories, you start to burn the fat that's all around the stomach. Make sure you're chewing your food to applesauce consistency before swallowing. Don't eat quickly. Stay away from the cruciferous veggies, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower, bok choy, kale. Those are cruciferous. You can look up a list of all of them. Give yourself time. Give yourself time for the gut microbiome to adjust to this lifestyle. You absolutely will lose fat, that's for sure. And a big reason why is not just because you're losing weight, but also because of the hormonal implications of eating this way, the phytoestrogens, the lower estrogen from the lack of animal products. I promise you it will go away. Healthy Mummy was pulling up her skirt.
And also, if I can add, if you're finding that you're feeling most bloated right after your meal, I started to feel this way after dinners. And I thought, well, what's the difference between breakfast and lunch? Well, breakfast and lunch, I'm immediately moving, up and moving. I never sit at my job. So, and after dinner, I'm sedentary. So I try to, adjust that so that I don't feel quite so full.
Yep. You have to move the log down the river, as Dr. Wilby says, and make sure you're properly hydrated. I promise if you can't figure this out, please do come and work with me. We can troubleshoot this. Yeah. Do you do any strength training? I know it's important at 50.
Well, I mean, I do yoga, and there is a lot of using your body as resistance in yoga for strength. I just started to do some arm yoga and think about incorporating some light weights into that. But as far as anything beyond that, I don't.
Consistency really is so important. She walks for 3 miles every day, which is weight-bearing exercise. And I would rather have somebody walk 3 miles every day and you've been doing it for years consistently, as opposed to getting a personal trainer for 6 weeks and then never doing it again. Right. So consistency really is the name of the game here. And I would argue as well that staying limber and being able to keep your joints fluid is much more important.
Right. Activities that no one can ever take away from you, that don't require training or any kind of skill, are the ones that'll best serve you in the long run.
You don't want to be an old woman that can't walk. So walk every day to ensure that you still got it. Yeah. Do you mind telling us, you don't have to if you don't want to, your age?
I'm 62.
Be 63 in 6 months.
Wow. I'll be 63 in 6 months.
And I'll be 28. As a nurse, I can't eat when I get hungry, and my lunch break is very, very short. Yeah. How do you deal with this?
Yeah, I've had this question before, and it hasn't gotten much better in the hospital setting. Our time to ourselves has gotten shorter. I do say, unless there's some emergency going on, you've got to carve out 15, 20 minutes for yourself. You have to eat. I will get lightheaded if I don't. And now I don't even get to sit anymore because we moved to a unit where that's not possible. So I'm standing for 8 hours. So I think you've got to make the time. You can disappear for 15 minutes and fuel yourself.
Yeah. I mean, and also you're a pediatric nurse in a hospital. You're taking care of kids. I don't want a lightheaded, out of it person taking care of kids.
Right. I mean, then they do encourage us to do it. I know how hard it is. Believe me, I know how hard it is. So maybe if you can't do that, then small snacks, healthy snacks. Then.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not a nurse, so you can shoot me down on this one. But if you never ask, the answer is always no. So asking your administrator if you can have a 15-minute lunch break.
Right. They will encourage you to do that. It's the nurse mentality.
I know. It's the helper.
Yeah.
The people pleaser.
Right. The fixer. Yeah. I know.
And for you to say that, I mean, she is like if anybody's a people pleaser, you got a meeting on Thursday nights at 6 p.m. with the club president of the people pleasers. She is a people pleaser to
I don't like
max.
people to not like me,
Yes, I know. You're so sweet and so kind and hate asking for things. So if you can do it, then whoever's watching this video can do it.
Right. It's asking a lot of someone not to allow them time to eat and drink.
Yeah, it's like not being able to use the bathroom.
Right, it's just not right.
Yeah. Healthy Mummy, were you ever into nutrition, or was it your daughter that got you into it?
Yeah, I think it was definitely Emily that got me into it. Coming up, all you gals out there who are my age understand what eating was like when we were little. It was just something you did. They put it in front of you, you ate it, and that was that. So it was never anything. I was never a dieter. My family weren't dieters. So we ate well for the time in my life that it was.
Yeah. And nutrition was never really a thing in our house growing up. Never saw you on a diet, never any of that.
No. I mean, we were the standard American diet family. with aging parents that had a lot of cardiovascular disease. I started to develop high cholesterol. I was put on medication, and it starts to make you think, what's going on here? So the thought process was there in the background, always.
Healthy Mommy, what books are on your to-be-read list?
Oh,
you can
that's
choose
a great
anything.
question. My latest favorite author is Kristen Hanna. The first book I read of hers was The Four Winds, which I told everybody to read. I really like her. I'm a big historical fiction fan. And I just read her book from 2015 called The Nightingale, which I loved.
I love how your response to that is very primary foods oriented. We have in SOS, there's an SOS book club.
There is? Oh, that's great.
I know. And I said I have one rule for the book club, which is it cannot be any health or nutrition books.
Right.
It has to be primary foods. So mysteries or fiction, whatever. But I love how you answer that, not with, oh, you need to read The Starch Solution or How Not to Die.
Yeah, that's not for me. Reading is such a great individualized activity because you can read whatever you want, whenever you want. I like when the characters, I think about them during the day when I'm not reading. I remember when I graduated from college, or it was probably nursing school, and read my first book for pleasure. I thought, this is the greatest thing ever. I love the library. Oprah's book club changed my life. The Deep End of the Ocean was the first book she recommended. It was great. So books are great.
The library is, if you don't have a library card,
the greatest
what
American
are you
thing.
doing? The libraries are the coolest things ever.
Right.
If I ever complain about paying taxes, put me in the library and say, remember this is what this pays for.
Right.
Because the library is the coolest thing ever. And if you are having trouble, a lot of my clients have struggled with weight, body image. It's been so consuming for so long, as any addiction is. It's been the forefront of their brain. Once we figure that out, the food is good, weight loss, that's all taken care of. They're like, who am I? This is what my brain has thought about weight loss and food and nutrition for so long. I don't even know what I'm interested in. Well, if this is you, go to your local library and just watch where your legs take you. There's all the different sections.
Right.
There's the fiction, there's the nonfiction. Where are you gravitating toward when you walk into the library? Because you can kind of find out what actually interests me.
Right. What book jacket, what cover do I find pretty? Do I grab? Yeah. I mean, they have librarians' recommendations, if whatever your categories that you like. It's just the greatest.
Yeah, it's the best.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Mom.
Okay, great.
If you made it to this point in the video, what should the secret comment be if they made it all the way here? They just have to comment a word. Dime?
Dime. Because I've been playing with a dime this whole
holding
time.
a dime. All right, honeys, we love you, and we'll see you in the next one.